Joe Burrow number 9, Jamar Chase number 1. The two numbers add up to 10. The next Super Bowl at the Bay Area is going to be played 10 years after Super Bowl 50 and Super Bowl 60. And I do like them to go up against Jordan Love number 10 in that Super Bowl. And I want you to notice that this is all going to happen after the Chiefs three-peat when the Chiefs win 10 consecutive playoff games. And the last team that beat the Chiefs in the playoffs was the Bengals, and the Bengals missed the playoffs, and the Chiefs will win because the Bengals were not in the postseason. And now they're all saying the Chiefs purposely lost so they could avoid the Bengals. Well, it has more to do so with player health, but the media is building it up to be something a little different. Joe Burrow this past offseason, says we're kind of built to beat them. He's 3-3 against Patrick Mahomes. They have an even record. This beef even goes far as 2022. Justin Reed says, I'm going to shut down one of the guys on the Bengals, which he did. The Bengals ended up winning that game. And then he was still beefing. You shut him down. He did back up his talk. He was going to shut down that one player on the Bengals, even though his team lost. And then Jamar Chase, he disagreed that he was the best quarterback in the league, and he was basically like, Pat who? I mean, he was a college teammate of Joe Burrow. They go back to college football, but then, who's Pat? Patrick Mahomes says, that's who, flashing the two rings. And then now Travis Kelce has scoffed at the idea that the Chiefs lost to purposely avoid facing the Bengals again. And then the Bengals star, Taylor Britt, Cap, shut that shit up. So this is about to get really good. It's the Bengals. They're going to end the Chiefs' quest for a four-peat next year. Four-peat, 46, happens to be gematria of SoFi Stadium. The Chiefs are going for a four-peat, but instead it is Joe Burrow that is going to end the four-peat quest. A four-peat is going to end thanks to number 1, number 9 connection. We're talking about the number 1, Jamar Chase, and the number 9, Joe Burrow. And they're going to be at 21 losses like Gematria of Caesars, and they will be going for their 22nd loss with the Super Bowl next year held over at Levi's Stadium. As far as the Bengals and the Chiefs rivalry goes, it is dead even. Remember when I told you the Bengals had no chance of beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game? I was correct. I told you there's no way the Bengals are going to win, and I was right. I told you there's no way the Bengals are going to beat the Chiefs this year. I told you. It's dead even between Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. But do the two teams face off next year? The amount of time that Jamar Chase was drafted to the time of the Super Bowl would just be over 1 year and 9 months later. The number 1, number 9 pass catch connection. The 22nd month would be Gematria of Levi's. Just over 21 months after he was drafted, Jamar Chase is drafted, the teammate of Joe Burrow, and now they win a title together. So they do not play the Bengals next regular season. They'll be dead even, but it's Joe Burrow that's going to have a winning record over Patrick Mahomes en route to winning the Super Bowl. So Joe Burrow with this wrist injury is going to deal Andy Reid a 17th playoff loss. Wrist. I thought wrist is Gematria 17. I misremembered. Well, wrist is Gematria Levi Stadium. I talked about Joe Burrow's injury last year. But that's how we break down the numbers of the Bengals as far as the end of this year is concerned, as far as the outcome of next year is concerned. 27 prior playoff games for the Bengals before facing off against the Dynasty, or maybe the Bengals' 29th playoff game against Mahomes if they were to play in the wild card round and beyond. Very interesting stuff. If the Bengals are the number one seed, maybe the Chiefs win 12 straight playoff games and then it ends in the 13th game. Those are the possibilities as far as the seeding goes in relation to the playoff games. Maybe a 51st playoff game for the Chiefs against Cincinnati should they be a wild card team. And should the Bengals have a number one seed. And those are the things we have to think about as far as next season goes. And the Bengals currently have 10 playoff wins before the start of next year. Next Super Bowl in San Francisco 10 years later. The Chiefs coming off 10 straight playoff wins. And they stay at number 16 because Joe Montana, number 16, with the 49ers, the most famous quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl host. So this kind of explains why the Bengals missed the playoffs this year. 26 prior playoff games, and you know that wrist is 26 in Bay Area. The side of the Super Bowl is Gematria of 26. And a comeback for Burrow after he lost the Super Bowl last year. You know, Jared Goff lost his first Super Bowl, but makes it back to the game, but will lose. It is Joe Burrow that will be the first to come back and win it in quite some time after losing his first Super Bowl. The last to do so, I think, if I am not mistaken, is John Elway of the Broncos.